Met up with Pog. The guy's like, oh, we'll just do Caldes on the way back then. It's pretty hard, mate.
I mean, the worst crash is the one that ended my career and smashed my head. And that was, I never came back from that. Continuously had headaches and still do now at times. I do think riders take a slightly bigger risk than what they used to. And I think the reason being is because there's more money in the sport than ever.
What's occurring, Bat?
What's occurring? Brought to you by ROUVY. How's it going, mate? All good?
All good. It's racing's around the corner now. I'm excited, mate. Be good to get off teams, off just talking and just actually get on the ground, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's all got to be done, and it's a means to an end, and you got to be organised, know where you're going, blah blah blah. But essentially, the bit I love is being on race with the boys.
What about the paddle, mate?
Paddle. Oh, mate, I've been full gas this week. I played Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, stupid o'clock in the morning. Then one day I played. Yeah, Monday I played 3 times. Wednesday I played twice. And I had my first paddle injury.
What's that then?
I fell over. Mate, I was running to the side of the court to get this ball, reaching for the ball. And the floor must have been a little bit wet. It doesn't look so bad now. And I slipped, went down on my one hand, but the hand that I was holding my racket on. So I fell on my racket. You can't really see. You see that's bruised there?
Oh, that sounds nasty, mate. Yeah.
No, it's not as dangerous as cycling, which is coincidentally the topic of today's pod. But yeah, it's quite sore. So first paddle injury. Dangerous sport, guys. And you? Fit, healthy, running, cycling?
Oh, done a bit of both recently. So I went out with Plusky just for a coffee ride. Rode to Nice and then met up with Pog and Eddie. And Pog's missus. The guy's like, oh, we'll just do Caldes on the way back then. And I'm thinking, oh man, I'd done a 9k run or something in the morning, and just last minute been like, oh yeah, I'll come out, go for a coffee then. Hadn't really had any breakfast. I think I had a banana. It was about midday, 1 o'clock by now. I was hungry anyway. I was like, oh geez, do I want to do this? I was like, oh yeah, well, why not? It's pretty hard, mate. You're just hungry anyway, and then you just start riding up there thinking, I don't need to be doing this. But they rode quite hard as well, the high 200s, low 300s. I thought this was a recovery ride. I was like, oh, the game's changed in 4 months.
Yeah, no more coastal recovery rides.
Yeah.
The days have changed. But, mate, let's get into this. So, in general, I think the topic of the pod is going to be injuries, crashes, rehabs type thing. So, not the nicest conversation. This kind of started with the realization that Mads Pedersen crashed first day of competition. He's obviously trained all winter, leading the team in the classics. We had Quinn Simmons on recently. I think it's no secret what Mads' early season goals would have been. And that's all kind of up in the air now. Turns out he broke his wrist and collarbone. I don't know how long that rehab takes. I think we're still definitely going to see him in some classics at some point. I don't think either of them will keep him away all the way to Roubaix, but what does that mean short term? We don't really know.
Yeah, well, we just got to look at Matt Heyman for that, eh? What was it? His collarbone he broke and then was just on Zwift for a month or two and then went and won Roubaix.
And he did that at opening weekend.
Late. Was it opening weekend? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was opening weekend. Just you turn into Hag Hook, wasn't it?
Well, I have no idea where, mate, but if you say so.
Yeah, it was.
But yeah, no, that sucks, doesn't it? It sucks for the team. They're big, hope. And obviously it sucks for himself. Getting it done, getting all those hard yards in, bad weather, whatever, in a good place to start the year. And then, I don't know how the crash happened, but it sounded pretty big. Did you see it?
No, I didn't see it. We had another race on. So, I didn't see
we had Fossey. Fossey came down and he broke his collarbone as well, the same
really?
Crash. Yeah. It was not displaced though, so it's not been operated on. But and then a couple of other boys came down in it as well, AJ and Artem. Sounded like quite a few boys held up by it as well. So
yeah,
it's just all crashes are rubbish, aren't they? But I don't know, early season seems even worse sometimes.
Well, also it's just, if you look at the bigger picture as well. So, okay, you've lost Fossey. Any rider is a loss. Any rider, there's then gaps to fill. Other riders have to get added to races. But if we focus on Mads, so he's leading one of the biggest teams in the world throughout all the classics. Now, they've got to go back to the drawing board, say, right, how long is the rehab going to take? When can he start racing again? When can he start training again? When can he start essentially performing again? That's the big one. There's no point putting him in a race to tick a box. And in the meantime, someone else has got to step up, take that responsibility and lead the team. And, you've got to go out there and you've got to get results and aim to win races. So it's every action has a reaction. And it's just like it snowballs along to riders, staff, sponsors. Like their whole first few months of the season were based around him, and all that's just up in the air at the moment. Yeah.
At least, collarbone historically seems to be something that's fairly quick. One of the better ones to break. But if he's done his wrist as well, then that's different as well, isn't it? But we had Quinn on recently, didn't we? And his sort of, I wonder how much his calendar might be influenced by this as well now. Like it's a big old jigsaw, the old team, isn't it?
It's a prime example. I mean, his words were that he's focusing more on the Ardennes because Mads has the whole team around him in the classics, which he 100% agreed with and understood. Now he goes out. For example, does Quinn's program change? Right, you're in the classics, mate. We're going to try and get numbers in the final, and we're going to, without one big leader, we're going to kind of try and spread our troops. Does his program change? And that was, quite recently, a week ago, he had his program fixed in his head as the team been in touch since, saying, right, rip up the program, we're starting again. So it's, and it's not really until you move to the other side of the fence that me and you have now as members of staff within teams that you realise the knock-on effect of any rider having an issue, let alone, the likes of Mads Pedersen. We're having it now with Olav Koy. I'm sure we'll be back racing in the near future, but certainly the first few races, it's like, right, what happens? What happens to the lead-out guys? What's the new objective of the race? Blah, blah, blah. So it's, tough situation.
Yeah. Like it, with our team as well, Oscar Rodriguez, I think it was New Year's Eve, had a crash with a car or something. I don't know if it was a car. In training anyway.
Okay.
And he fractured his pelvis, and he's still sort of coming back from that as well. So it's just cycling, isn't it? Like we all know it's dangerous anyway, but with the squad, when you're a rider, all you're thinking about is yourself, aren't you, really? You're never thinking about the bigger picture with the team, so to speak. You've got your goals and where you're going and whatever, but yeah, there's so many moving parts to it.
Don't forget, we're working with ROUVY this winter to keep the legs turning.
Head to ROUVY and use the code WATTS for an additional 30-day free trial when you sign up for the first time. The code is valid for single monthly subscriptions for new subscribers only.
ROUVY is on a mission to bring the indoors to the outdoors, letting you ride real routes from around the world, all from your own home.
And it's not just riding. ROUVY can help you hit your cycling goals with a huge workout gallery and structured training plans, including plans from World Tour teams Lidl Trek and Visma Lisa Bike.
Plus, our What's Occurring group rides are live every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. UK time, so you can train, ride and suffer together.
Start now and get ready for the next outdoor season with ROUVY. Use the code WATTS for an extra month free when you subscribe for the first time.
If we get into this then with a few questions, let's talk about our experiences. What was the worst crash you ever had? I mean, you went through a phase of like crashing quite a bit, a lot of them, and you got branded with a bad brush, and a lot of them were actually not your fault. At times I felt a bit sorry for you, and I know I take the piss, but what was your worst one?
Well, for a start, I used to hate talking about crashing. I never would talk about crashing because it just always felt wrong, and it'd end up being like I probably crashed now because of this. But so, well, to that point about crashing a lot, I did go through a phase, yeah, and I think it was more, I went from being like a domestique to trying to go for my own results. So part of it was like, right, I just need to save as much as possible, and I was always kind of in that eye of the storm, always trying to just sort of hide all the time and do as little as possible. And that was part of it, which is down to me, my fault. But then being in that danger zone, stuff happens, which you can't affect sometimes. Then other times you just make stupid mistakes anyway, just by going too fast into a wet corner or whatever. So yeah, I did go through that phase, and it is funny how you get a bit of a reputation in it if you have a year or two where you have a few crashes, and it sticks. But worst ones, I think, obviously having my spleen out was a big one. But I feel like the recovery from that was pretty quick, and I had a good team around me, like British Cycling, to help me get back, which was good. And that was just out training. That was in Sydney. We were riding to the new hotel because we were going to start the Track World Cup, and Ed Clancy was in front of me, and there was this big twisted corrugated iron thing on the road, and he didn't see it. He rode over it with his back wheel, and it kind of flicked up, went into my front wheel, but just my forks were in half. It just snapped my forks in half. Landed on the stack that we used to have on our handlebars, like from your forks in the little stack. Landed on that. It didn't pierce the skin or anything, but I ruptured my spleen, and I was lying there, and there was a bridge, and at the time it felt like it was about 100 meters away. Apparently it was only like 10 meters. And it started raining, and the boys were like, oh, come on, get up and we'll go under the bridge. So they pulled me up, go over there, and they're flagging down a car. Happened to be a doctor, and he stopped. And I was like, I really need a pee. So boys helped me up, tried going for a pee, couldn't wee. And this guy said to, I didn't know at the time, but this guy said to, I think it was Cav, it's like, oh, he's probably got internal bleeding. It's like the blood putting pressure on his bladder, making him think he needs a wee, but it's actually obviously he didn't say spleen, but that's what it was. So go to the hospital, and like in the ambulance, like, oh, do you want morphine? I'm like, no, I got a race in like 2 days, mate. Can't have morphine. Banned. Go in for this scan, and come out of it, and they're like, oh, you've ruptured your spleen, you're definitely not gonna be racing. I'm just like, give me everything you got then, just, help me out. That was bad at the time. It was quite scary as well. Like, the doctor comes in and says, oh, you've ruptured your spleen. If it continues to bleed, you're going to die. And I was like, well, are you going to take it out then? He's like, well, I stopped now, so we'll just monitor you. We'd rather leave it in, but if it starts again, we'll whip it out. And I was a bit like, just take it out. Like, if I don't need it, like, but he was like, no. And then anyway, they wake me up in the middle of the night, started bleeding, we're going to whip it out. So yeah, thinking about it, it was pretty bad actually, but it was only like 8 weeks, and I was back like training and racing again pretty soon after that. So that was definitely the biggest. But then I think some emotional ones, like Paris-Nice was an emotional one for me. It was a race that, like, it was a few years I was going there trying to win, and would like, there was one time it's crashed here in La Turbie, you remember? And I was second on GC. Richie just crashed the corner before, literally. And I was like, oh, geez, like, that sucks for him. But, well, the yellow jersey on the road now. And we're coming into this corner, last hairpin, and all these boys going way too fast. So I was like, oh, slow right down. They all overshoot. They stay on the bike, but they go wide around this corner. I'm like going a lot slower, go the inside, hit something, some oil or something, whatever it was, deck it, lost the time and whatever, and that was out. And then so that was emotionally, that was like, after that night I was like, bloody hell, like, what, because the year before
you also had the Paris-Nice where you crashed and slid under that car, remember? Your back was just, I was in the shower with you scrubbing your back. That was nasty. That's always the worst bit, isn't it? Like when you're in that shower afterwards, and you just gotta, like, you're there just scrubbing your wounds, making sure they're clean, the iodine and stuff, and it's all part of it, isn't it? Like, what about you? You didn't have too many, like... Nah.
When you did it properly, I guess, but...
I think the interesting thing I take from what you said there is, I think the role has quite an impact on how often you crash. And you say, you crash most when you're a leader and you're in the thick of it. And I was rarely a leader and was, a domestica helper, whatever you want to call it. So as a result of that, normally you take in a bit more wind.
In the wind.
You're putting yourself second, and the leader's most important. So you're exposing yourself a little bit, and not often in that crazy whirlwind in the middle of the peloton. And you do your job up until a certain point, and then you pull the pin and you kind of drop back. So I was never really in the mix of a bike race on a flat stage in the final kilometre, because my job was done before that. And then
Still if you're going into classics are mental though, eh?
The classics are mental. Yeah, there's no...
Right.
You're in that bubble and it's ticking time bomb. Sometimes, and you're on the start line, you kind of just have to accept that. And, but the worst crash is the one that ended my career, because it ended my career. And that was a case of, crash in front of me in the first 10K of E3 in March 2024. I still didn't really get to the bottom of it. I think someone lost their handlebars in front of me. Anyway, there was someone down, went over the top and smashed my head. And that was, I never came back from that. Tried to come back, and the doctors said, if you have another big smash, we don't know what would happen and where you'd be at. And then you go, right, wife, 2 kids. I don't want to be whatever in a wheelchair or whatever the worst case would be. So you got to protect yourself. But I tried to come back even despite that, and I just continuously had headaches, and still do now at times. Which, when you think about it, it's almost 2 years ago. Is
crazy. That
scary, really. But apart from that, I didn't have many. I broke my leg, but that wasn't cycling related. That was kind of freak accident, stag do related, which. Yeah, I've heard some wild and wacky stories about that. Yeah, go on. What do you say?
I said, don't have to go into that one.
No. Time for a quick shout out to our sponsors, Visit Wales. If you love riding your bike, Wales is honestly a dream. Big climbs, quiet roads, and views that'll make you stop mid-ride just to take it all in.
Whether you're heading out with your mates for a proper ride in the hills, bringing the family for gentle trails, or just fancy escaping on your own for a bit of peace, Wales has got it covered.
So, next time you're planning a ride, make it Wales. Check it out at visitwales.com.
Right, Emma, today's topic of discussion for Visit Wales is favourite family-friendly ride.
This is a good one, this.
Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
I'll go.
You go.
So I'd say most recently when I went back home, they have a new bike path from Carmarthen. I think it goes through Nantgaredig all the way to Llandilo.
Yes.
And it's completely off-road, like it's a brand new path, like the tarmac is pristine.
I've seen pictures and it looks so good.
Yeah, and I've ridden on it a couple times when I went home, and it's lovely. It's really nice. It's quiet. You go through all like the hills and the fields of Wales, and it makes you feel really safe. And I think that's really important when you go out riding.
Definitely. I feel like I always feel quite safe riding around Carmarthenshire, because it's not super busy, but that from Carmarthen to Llandilo, that road, that Towie Valley road, is like one of my favourite roads to ride on. So to have like an option to have one that's car free and really family friendly, that you don't have to worry about anything you enjoy, I feel like is great.
It's unreal. And I think it can get quite busy on the main road, so to have this. And I know my parents, when they ride like a couple times a week, they ride it all the time. Like they love it. And I think it's big enough like 2 people. I think people are really respectable on it, and it is a really nice path. And I think family and friends, like if you have kids and you want to learn how to start riding or want to have a safe space to ride, I do really, really recommend.
Yeah, and I feel like you can ride all the way to Llandilo, and there's nice coffee shops there. So.
There are. Perfect. What about you?
Mine would be Pembrey Country Park.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like I spent a lot of time riding there when I was younger. There's so much to do within like the country park, and you can ride from kind of Llanelli to Pembrey, or Pembrey to Buryport, all on the bike path, all car free or whatever. Or you can just stay within Pembrey Country Park and ride like on the beach or in the sand dunes. And there's been like multiple cyclocross races at Pembrey Country Park as well. So I feel like it's got a lot to offer for family and kids, and it's really safe. And again, there's like coffee shops, and they've got loads of like parks for kids as well.
Yeah,
so
like
even if you've got
food.
really young kids that like want to cycle, but then they might get a bit bored, so they want to go do something else. I think that's really good.
No, yeah, I love Pembrey. It's such like a community.
And the beach is so stunning as well.
Yeah, and they have that circuit, don't they now?
Yeah, they've got the...
so like...
Why didn't I mention that as well?
Yeah, off-road, like they do.
Yeah, they've
crits.
literally got a cycling circuit there as well. Have you done any racing there?
I actually have.
Me too. It's savage. 'Cause it's got that little
climb.
Yeah.
I actually have. I think they did a few like when I was younger, I just remember doing it, and it's pretty savage, but it's closed, like it's really nice. Like you can get so many, like a massive group on it.
I feel like now, like we've only just spoken about Carmarthenshire here, not even the
That's
whole
what I was
of Wales.
thinking,
Like,
yeah. There's so many other.
We've got it all.
Carmarthen is beautiful, but I think there's probably so many little things like that around. But I think Pembrey and the path is up there for us.
West Wales,
big up.
Right, and it's time for us to pick our winner. It is between the Towie Valley Cycle Path and Pembrey Country Park.
This is hard.
It is a hard one because they are both so good.
I know. I think my one wins.
We can go with yours. I think the Towie Valley, because it is top notch.
It is, and family friendly. Like it's brand new, and
all the pros ride on it. Like
they do.
They do their efforts on it as well, so it's very versatile.
Yeah, but Pembrey is pretty close.
Yeah, they could both win, but let's go Towie Valley.
There you go.
Quick one before we carry on. This episode is brought to you by Saily. And honestly, if you're a cyclist who travels for races, camps, or just holidays, this actually makes sense.
Saily's an eSIM app from the creators of NordVPN. It basically means you land in a country and your phone just works. No airport SIM faff and no roaming shock when you get home.
We've spent enough time stood outside hotels nicking Wi-Fi to know how useful that is. You download the app once, pick a data plan for wherever you're going, and you're connected as soon as you land. And there are over 200 destinations. Gee, do you remember how bad some of the hotel Wi-Fi was when we were recording pods during the tour?
Oh yeah, mate. I think Saily would have been an absolute lifesaver for us. Download Saily in the App Store or by scanning the QR code on the screen. Use code What's Occurring at checkout to get 15% off your first purchase. The details are in the podcast episode description box. Well, I was going to ask though, you said it then, like when you're on the start line, you kind of accept it, or did you ever, was there anything you thought about? And did that change through your career? Or
I think it did change throughout my career. I remember one thing that stands out where I literally just said, I don't give a shit what happens, was I think it was my first chance to lead the team in the classics. You weren't there. Don't know why. There was a few bigger riders who weren't there. And they said, right, Luke, you're going to lead the classics today. You're going to lead the race. And it was en loop. And it was clear Tyneberg was the moment. I think it was 2014 or 15 or something. Tyneberg was the moment. And if you're well positioned at the base of that, 60k to go, you're going to go far. And I was out on the bike with Phil Dygan, and I was explaining that, this climb, Tyneberg, you have to be in good position. I said, I'm going to go in first. And it's like a shit fight to get in. I said, I've painted a picture in my head. I've done a recon. I know it inside out. I know where I'm going to move, which side, where I need to be, top 10, top 20, top 30, to hit that climb first. And I genuinely said, I'm either going in first or I'll crash trying. And that was my mindset. I was like, whatever it takes to get in first, I'm going to do it. And looking back now, stupid. What an idiot. I would never have had that approach later. And it's actually a bit embarrassing to say it, because what the end result could be of crashing could be terrible. And I would never cause a crash. But my mentality was I just didn't give a shit, whatever it took to be in. And I did go in first. And I didn't crash. So that's great. But certainly later on, you think about it more when you have wife and kids. And did you find that later on it was in the back of your mind a little bit more?
It kind of, I think I just more learned there's a time and a place to like really take that pin out.
Yeah.
And so it wouldn't be from the start line to the finish where you're just like, okay, just got to go. There'd be times where you're like, oh, it's a bit dodgy here. I'm just going to go a bit easier. I'm going to lose a few positions because I know I can gain them back soon, So I think it's more, you gained a bit more sort of perspective, I guess, on stuff. But when it came to it, I never thought about the consequences. Like I never thought, because I don't think you can, otherwise you wouldn't do it. I think it's just it was just like, right, I know I've got to be here. And you go into that zone of just, as Steve Peters would say, your autopilot, your computer takes over. You're not thinking about anything. It's just, you're racing and you're just doing it. As soon as you do start thinking, like, I think for me, it was never that bad. But when you think of someone like Brad, after he'd won the Tour, he had a bit of that period we had a bit of a wobble on every descent, wasn't it? Especially if he was wet, like in the Giro. And I think once you get into that zone, it's so hard to sort of come out of it. And it's so much in the head, like it's so underestimated. Like everyone's more aware of psychology now, but I think it's still such a huge part of it. And this comes into it, like I think some guys do just get scared in those crunch moments. And like some guys who technically are fine, bike handling fine, but when they're in that manic position, I guess they're just like, I need to get out of this, and they drift back, and then
100% I agree. Is the biggest thing I would say, and if you can pass one message on to the modern generation now, is there's a time and a place. And it just seems some people will fight, nail and tooth with 100k to go. I mean, depending on parkour, maybe 100k to go is the crunch point of the race, but in an irrelevant situation, just for the sake of it. And that's I think that's one big thing I learned. And also just never taking that ultimate risk. And that's what I say to the guys now. Okay, with 50k to go, there's a moment, there's a climb, whatever. You have to be top 10 to perform in an ideal world. But if you take that ultimate risk and you crash, you're not going to be top 10, 20, 30, top 100 because you're on your back. So you're useless as a leader, as a helper, whatever your role is. You're useless if you're on your back. So always lose 2 positions and take that ultimate risk and do a crazy dive bomb or lose control or go around that one corner half a k an hour faster. Push it. You have to push it in the sport we're in. Limits need to be tested, but never take that ultimate risk because, simply put, on your back, you're useless to everyone.
It's just not worth it, And that's what it is with cycling, isn't it? It's so varied and like unpredictable, like F1 or MotoGP, it's on a circuit, the conditions, it might get a bit drier, it might get a bit wetter, but you've got the forecast, you've got all this technology, but you can come around a corner in a bike race, it could be a sheep on the road, or it's a bit of oil, or there's stones, or a car. Yeah, and it's just that's the beauty of the sport as well, though, isn't it? That's what makes it special. That's what makes it unique.
Unpredictability.
Yeah, and like being able to adapt to all sort of scenarios and being able to put up with all that, but at the same time, you still need, that you still need to know that it is just a bike race as well.
And also, like, a lot of people, as they get older, they're a bit more hesitant, they're cautious, they're nervous. But I had the ability to, I was racing, I had 2 kids at home, and you go, I don't want to go home in a wheelchair. I want to go home happy, healthy, run around the garden with my kids, and like I've always done, and like I will always do. And when you go into a race, and it was only really during the classics because the risk was so much more elevated than other races, that I would think about that. I don't want to crash, like it fucking hurts. And, you think of the worst case scenario, don't you? You paint a picture. But then when I got in the race, when I clipped in, started the race, it just went to the back of my head. And right, got a job to do it. Whatever happens, and get on with it. But with some guys, they don't even think about it at all. With some guys, they start to touch their brakes half a second earlier than they used to because they're scared or worried, and it's normal. It's normal. It's actually quite reassuring that people are scared, to be honest. When I seen a rider who was scared, you go, I'm glad there are some scared riders in this peloton.
Yeah, true. And I think like it's worse watching though. That's one thing I've learned as well, because I couldn't imagine what it like at the time. I was always like with Sarah or with my mum or Beth. You're always like, it's all right. Like, know what I'm doing. You're just like, it's part of the race, like whatever. But when you see your loved ones do it, or people you care about doing it, and then you see there's a crash, and it's just, oh man, I fortunately I haven't been in that situation yet, but as the season goes on, you know, and being part of the team still, like, you did care when teammates crashed, but you're racing, like you can't just be thinking, oh, I wonder how he is. Like, you're still doing it, you know. But it's so different now from the sidelines, and you're just like, it brings another dimension to it all, that's for sure.
Like, mate, you just, you know, said at the start of the pod, you go into Provence, first race in the car. Like, I hope you don't, but you'll see crashes. And, you know, at some point you're going to come across, well, if you do it more often in the car, you're going to come across someone from within your team or someone you know, and they're going to be badly hurt. And it's like, whoever they are, but, you know, you pick a 20-year-old kid, battered and bruised, side of the road, and it's like, it's horrible. It's horrible. You know, you just think, yeah, but it's unfortunately a part of the sport, and, you know, it's not going to get any better anytime soon. I reckon we should take a minute just to duck into, has it got more dangerous? Without going too deep into it, because we have discussed this before, and if so, why? Like, disc brakes, there's more traffic furniture. What do you think, though? Has it got more dangerous?
I don't know, to be honest. I think there's been a lot of good improvements, like to try and make it safer. You know, new barriers and sprint finishes. A few more races having circuits at the end. I think that's good. I think disc brakes, you know, you're able to stop quicker, but then the other side, the whole technology, and you're moving quicker. So that's obviously brings a different element of danger. The fact you're just traveling quicker. But, you know, I don't know, like the mentality of the riders, I don't know if that has changed. I think the peloton is generally a bit younger, and maybe so is a bit like what we were when we were younger, and you don't really understand the consequences, potentially. But I think more and more people are aware of it. More and more people want to make it safer, which is definitely a good thing. Because a lot of it comes down to the individual as well. Like, you're on the bike, you decide, you got your brakes in front of you, at the ends of your fingers, you can pull them. You know, it's I think it's just a collective responsibility, though. It's not down to just the rider or just the organizer or just the UCI. It's definitely, well, integrated, isn't it? It's everyone needs to be a part of it.
I agree. I think everyone's got a role to play. Essentially, I mean, if you put on a perfectly safe parkour, you could run it around a motor racing track with wide exits, like in the Tour de France a couple of years ago. There was 3 crashes in the final few Ks, and people went home with broken bones, and you will not get a safer finish line. So there's also a certain level of acceptance, whatever the parkour. You know, it's beautiful weather, huge runoff, big wide road, there's crashes. So the parkour has the race organizer has to put a safe parkour on, but whatever they do, there will be crashes. Because you're fighting for position, and you're fighting for, despite how wide the road is, you're all going to fight for a certain wheel or to be in a certain position at a certain point. So there's that. I mean, the buck stops at the riders. Like you said, at any moment they can slow down, put themselves in a safe position, but you're not going to win like that. You're not going to achieve success. I do think riders take a slightly bigger risk than what they used to. And I think the reason being is because there's more money in the sport than ever. The bigger the reward, the more likely you are to take the risk. And people go, right, if I don't break, if I get in a good position for that corner, or I enter the front, a good position for that climb, I can get a result and I can get rewarded for it. So I think they do take slightly bigger risks, I'd say.
Yeah, well, I think speaking about technology though as well, I've seen, do you see that thing that, is it Picnic have for training now? Like that airbag thing on their back? Or I don't know exactly how it works and stuff, but stuff like that's interesting, concussion stuff and the helmets and things. And so, we talk about technology sort of making it more dangerous, well, making the speeds higher, therefore a bit more dangerous. I think it's also helping to at least try to protect the guys as well. So it's interesting, like, where that goes, really, as well.
100%, mate. And if you look at, I think Tour de Suisse is kind of leading the way, really, leading the charge and trying to make racing safer. What they did last year was every rider's bike had a chip on it. If their bike or chip stood still for more than 5 seconds, it would send an alarm to HQ, let's call it. They would then contact the DS straight away and said, this rider has stopped. So it might be for a piss. So there was a few false calls, but if a rider goes off the road and is lost, you can easily drive past them as a DS. And if you changed bikes, because any issue, you'd have to inform the race straight away. This year they're reducing the length of the race slightly. There's 5 stages, one of which is a TT. The remaining 4 stages are all on circuits. I think
circuits are good, eh? Like, even for spectators, like,
it's 2-pronged attack, isn't it? Yeah, great for spectators. You can also monetize it if you wanted to. Put on a beer tent and say, come to my beer tent. This race is going to pass you 10 times. But then obviously safety. If it's on a 20k circuit versus a 200k road stage, you got 10 times less road infrastructure to secure. You can spread the people out across a 20k circuit. There's only 40k worth of barriers you need. Not that they're going to barrier it all, but it's a lot less. And you speak to a random person and they say, well, why don't you have barriers the whole race? And it's like, it's impossible. You have a 200k stage, there's 400k of barriers you need. It's just not at all feasible.
Yeah, but circuits, I like it, mate. It's the way forward. But
do you like racing on circuits though?
No.
They're more stressful, aren't they?
Yeah, I think I didn't like the circuits that were like maybe 10 laps, because they're long enough to be like, I don't know, the countdown seemed, if it's just 3 big laps, that seemed easier. This is purely mentally now as a rider for me. That seemed a bit easier than 10 or 12, sort of like, whatever, 15k laps. It's just like, man, let me just see him ticking down.
Just to finish off then, before we call it a day, how hard is it for a rider, and how hard was it for you at times coming back from injury? Because day to day, you ride your bike, you race, you train, you eat, you sleep, you shit, whatever you got to do. And it's quite a systematic process that you do day in, day out. Then you crash, you have your scans, you find out, right, this is the problem. And at a certain point, you can ride the bike again on the turbo or whatever, and you fight your way back. But how was going through that whole process, like mentally and physically? How did you find that?
It's frustrating when you can't do what you want to do. That was the biggest thing. But as soon as you, for instance, if you can't even do rehab yet for some reason, and you're just like there, just like lounging around and just feel like you're just sort of wasting time. But I think once you start the rehab and you start to see that progression, for me, it was always about the next day feeling better than the day before. And if you see that, then that's where you get your confidence from. And I don't know, like, I never really thought about it too much. It was always more just like, right, this is my goal. That's where I'm going, and I'm going to get there, if not before, and it was just like that process of just being like that one target really, and that goal, just to, right, got to do this every day, tick that box, tick those boxes, whatever it is, and I'll get there. And it was never a question of like when or if, it was just a question of when, so it certainly is hard though. Like, if you got to do gym and you got to do rehab or certain physio exercises, like, I struggle with that, to be honest, because I was just like, I just want to ride my bike. And as soon as I got to the stage where I could ride my bike, like, I continued the exercises for a bit. And then if the physio's like, do a bit more just to strengthen for the future, blah, 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 I'll be honest, I never really did. I continued a bit more, and I just did more and more on the bike, and that was it. But
I remember one thing you said to me, and we were out on the bike and they were trying to push gym on us a bit, and you were like, no, I'm not going to do it. To be honest, my approach is I can either spend an hour in the gym, or I can just do an hour longer on the bike. I just do an hour longer on the bike. And that kind of stuck with me. I remember where we were when you said it as well. You would, yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know, for me it was like, do I want to get up an hour earlier and go to the gym, and then if I can't see exactly how much better I'm going to get with it, I'm like, well, do I really want to do it? Like, I'd rather have an extra hour in bed and just do an extra hour on the bike afterwards, because I know that's definitely going to help. Maybe it was the wrong, like, maybe I just wasn't explained the benefits to me.
Well,
maybe those benefits were bigger, but it's also, you need to be fully invested in what you're doing. Like, if I was going to the gym every day, just not really believing in it, there's no point in doing it anyway. So yeah, that was it. Did you do the gym?
I dabbled now and then. I went through phases of like, okay, do this, do the program, and then I'd sack it off. Yeah, I was a bit like you. I was never fully invested. It was hard to see the gains from it. You do it for 3 months. You go, you feel strong, you feel robust. It's like, I feel the same as 3 months ago, mate. I don't feel, well, like you say, if you train well and you go through a phase, of building phase, a loading phase, whatever it is, you come at the other side and you go, actually, I do feel good.
And everyone's different, aren't they? Like, it's like their bodies and everything. Like, some people might need to do it so they don't break down. Some people might feel like sprinters or whatever, I don't know, a real benefit from it. So yeah,
like sprinters, their peak power is crucial. Like, what they can produce off the line when they open up their sprint, what they can hold for 10, 12 seconds, whatever it is what decides whether they have success or not. So them, 100%, they agree they have to do it. But I mean, for my role, I never felt I had to do it, and obviously for your role, you didn't. But we've gone a bit off piste here, mate.
Yeah.
Crashes, nailed it, haven't we? Anything else to add?
No, mate. Just happy you don't have to talk about that again.
No. And yeah. Hopefully a speedy recovery for Mads. Shit for him, shit for Trek.
Yeah.
He'll be back, mate. He'll ride a classic.
Yeah, for sure.
He'll be back.
Playing time on that turbo.
Maybe wrist, though, on cobblestones. He'll be back.
All right then, but
we'll leave it there.
Nice one.
Ta-da, boy.
Ta-da.